Hey, Alice, welcome back. Here at a good time. I got the great and powerful Evan Carpenter over on this side.
Hello, welcome.
Thanks for joining once again.
Glad to be here.
Semi-regular co-host.
Yeah, mystery guest appearances.
Or your UFO and cow shirt. Much appreciated.
Yeah, that one's for the video watchers.
And we have the great and powerful Yancey coming at us from Alabama as well.
Yo,
Welcome back, dude.
awesome to be here.
Yeah, man. We had a great interview last time you were on. That must have been like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
not longer.
yeah.
Yeah, man. So what's new? What's new with you?
Uh, that's a good question. Nothing much. Just living life, post-capitalism, and all that other shit. Trying to
Yeah.
make music when I can. I got one more rowdy kid in the house, so that makes three.
Oh
So
shit.
that's what's new with me. Another kid and a little bit more work, but a lot more fire to make some more music. So
Yeah. Speaking of new music, Killer Cowboy comes out August 30th. This will probably go up August 30th. If that's the case, then it's out now. If this comes out earlier, then I'll put your pre-save link up. But
awesome.
definitely go check that out. We were actually just listening to that. Um, your music, it sounds like it's underwater. Like it's got like a very like water flow.
Nice, nice.
It's good stoner music.
Yeah, I'm not much of a producer or mixer, but I just like it when it has that kind, not like over compression, but I like everything to kind of be squished together. I don't really like a open, wide panoramic sound. I really love. If I could record on tape, I've got a reel to reel that my dad gave me, and if I could figure out how to record more on that and get tapes and do stuff like that, it really and get like a mono sound, that would be incredible because I love that sound. I don't know why people try to make like stuff sound like good. You know, like real, I don't know why you go to a studio and mic drums just so that you can get like a real, like almost live drum sound. Like I don't, unless you're doing something like freaking When the Levee Breaks or something like that, or I don't know, something crazy, some huge sound. I don't see why you wouldn't just compress the crap out of it and like try to get to a different kind of place aesthetically. I mean, I really don't get that.
Yeah, I hear
But
you. It probably I don't know anything about sound engineering, but it probably depends on the kind of music, I'd imagine.
well,
Um,
that makes two of us, man, because I don't know anything about production either. Like it's all from the hip, just trying to make sure it's not clipping too much. But even then, I like a little bit of clipping, like a little bit of like, not white noise, but enough to kind of give it an edge. Um,
yeah.
but anyway,
Where'd you record all that?
my freaking garage
Oh
looks
shit.
looks something like this.
That's
Um,
what's up,
so
dude.
yeah, the limit. I'm super limited in like the space that I can use to like. I find myself not incorporating the room very much when I'm trying to record something. It's all pretty much direct in, and anything that captures the room would be like an acoustic guitar or a vocal mic. So anything. But if you listen to the first track on Killer Cowboy Killer, I was trying to record vocals and my wife was washing clothes like right behind me, and that sound at the beginning, it's like and it's like clanking. I'm like, screw it, I'll just put that in there, and I'll pitch it down just a little bit so it doesn't just sound like rattling noise. Maybe that's interesting. Maybe it sounds like shit. I have no idea. I've
Dude,
only asked three people how the album sounds before I gave it to the label. So
it sounds great, man. Like that's actually what my initial thoughts on it were was this is really well recorded and produced. That's not easy to do, so props to you.
thank you.
Absolutely. You hit a very good, like, raw ambient sound, but the vocals do come through very well, too. Absolutely.
That's the thing I was worried about, is just because I don't like to have the vocals very prominent in the mix. Obviously I don't have like a great singing voice, so I want to keep it like just like a guitar, just like a you know, a synthesizer. You know, just keep it on, not too much above everything else. Even though it is like the lead instrument, I don't like giving it preference over everything else because I feel like that's it's something everybody else does anyway. And I've never liked how the vocals sound like almost isolated
Sure.
from the rest of the tracks.
Sure.
Yeah. You're talking about that overproduced sound. Yeah, absolutely. When the vocals come through like all weird and crisp like that.
Yeah, yes. Hate that shit so much.
Yeah. Well, we talked a lot about uh well, we were all over the place last time, and that's this kind of how these things this particular show goes. But there's a lot
It's
going on.
awesome.
Say what?
I, I like that aspect of your show because it's just like, and I mean, you're pretty esoteric. I mean, I don't know about Evan over here, but if you're friends with Evan, I'm sure that.
Oh, I
You know,
dabble. Yeah. Oh, I dabble a little bit here and there.
yeah, it's very unique and interesting. I liked your poetry. I thought it was very much something that I don't see a lot of on especially online. I mean, poetry's dead. I mean, like poetry and like stand up just like don't make any sense in the current year for whatever reason. But I mean, that's something we talked about too. But I liked your poetry too. I thought it
Dude,
was pretty interesting.
thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. From one artist to another, like that really means a lot because I have a lot of respect for what you do as well. Yeah, poetry is absolutely dead. It's not something that's marketable at all. But I'm not really trying to with the podcast or with my art. I'm not really trying to make money. It's just something I do. So
Yeah, that's such a cliche that you know you tell that to a normal person like I really don't give a shit about money, and they're just kind of like, oh, you know, typical artist.
yeah,
This shit's probably bad, but it's like you really can't get to the place that like a lot of people get to financially if you are always prioritizing the the bottom line. You know, that's not to say that you know you shouldn't be thinking in terms of like how do I get paid for this, but that should be it. Like how can I get paid for this? You know, this is this
Oh
thing
yeah.
in and of itself. Is there is it like can I just is there a market for this? Can I? You're still gonna do it, but if you care about it, you want to at least like get compensated for it.
yeah. I mean, it obviously always be nice to get paid for it, but like if that's the goal, you're in the wrong business. Like art is not like a thing to do if you're trying to make money with it. Like it's nice when it happens, but if your goal is to make money, like do literally anything else.
Just get a job. I mean, like
Yeah.
the thing I've realized is like I'll probably never be happier than I am like right now. Well, a wife and three kids, a day job that doesn't break my back, making decent money, and I get to make music and not have somebody like over my head like telling me how to do shit. It's probably not going to get any better than this. Not that I'm anticipating it to do better or do worse. It's just that you know I think there's a pleasure that comes from just doing it for its own sake and mentally just being like okay with that, you know, because people you know I'm sure you've run across so many people up there in Nashville where it's like you know oh man I don't do this for money, you know I care about the music or you know I just care about the art and what it says and that's all I care about, and you get the vibe that no, that's not really how it is. And these people be bummed out in 10 years when they're still doing it and they're still playing the same places and they only have, you know, their Spotify to show for it or a few good shows.
Mm.
So like people can get pretty wound up and depressed like,
Yeah.
just trying to make it happen financially. And it's kind of a paradoxical mental thing. Like if you can just kind of set that stuff aside, you probably will have more financial success if you just don't give a shit, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, for sure. I've been practicing gratitude a lot too. I'm super grateful for everything I got. Um, yeah, I've been reading this book called The Tools right now, and one of it gives you all these like practices to do, and one of those things is like whenever you've got a moment, whether it's like in the morning or in the evening or just in the car, like whenever you get a minute, name 5 things that you're grateful for, and man, there's so much to be grateful for. Um,
Exactly.
and it's funny because like what that really comes down to is it's prayer, like just expressing that gratitude to yourself, like in your mind, what prayer is, you know. Just I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to have you know, the health that I do have, the roof over my head, electricity, you know, the things we all take for granted. Like it's important to be grateful and humble. And you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's a lot of artists that that come to Nashville specifically to like make it. And what they don't realize is like this isn't where you come to make it. This is like it's so saturated that it's actually like the hardest place.
Yeah.
A lot of artists, like touring artists, will not come through Nashville because it's hard to get a crowd here. Because there's like a million things happening every night. So yeah, no, like and you know, like you're saying, like they'll say that they're in it for just the thing itself, like for doing it. But you can tell when they're playing. Like they don't I think a lot of people don't realize it, but like an audience knows when you're not having a good time. Like if you're on stage and you're just waiting for it to be over, people know. Your crowd knows that.
Yeah. Sure.
Exactly. And you got to push past satisfying them. You have to satisfy yourself first. And you know, that's why there's such a, you know, the line between good art and bad art is almost non-existent, and a good performance and a bad performance is almost non-existent. It's sort of out of your hands on some level. So all you can really go off of is your own intuition, and your intuition is probably like 90% wrong. If you look at how many bands there have been, how many poets there have been, how many, I don't know, filmmakers there have been that are just following their instincts, it's not always going to resonate, you know. And the best thing to do is just in the moment, take the gratitude, you know, you have for this moment, that you're able to do something that you enjoy, and just be happy with that and satisfy yourself. And then at least it has more of a chance of satisfying one person than nobody. You know, I mean, it's like hippy dippy bullshit, but it's some of the hippy dippy bullshit is like kind of true.
Yeah, for sure.
For real. I think that one thing that we're kind of like circling around here is the idea of integrity. You know, like how true are you to your own art, and like how much of that are you willing to sacrifice in the name of just getting by and like making something that people are going to buy, you know?
Yeah.
It can be tough to find that line.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the biggest thing to me, maybe this is a little bit off topic, but that line of good and bad being almost non-existent, you know, to at least your own eye. To other people it's way more obvious, and that's just kind of the case with everything, you know, how you dress yourself, how you perceive yourself. You know, whether or not you think your opinion on whether or not it'll be effective, the thing you're trying to get across is coming across, your ability to judge that is super minimal, and there are only a few people in history that are able to actually do that. And you know, it's probably the people who are successful who manage to have enough self-awareness about themselves and about their audience, or finding an audience who are able to, you know, capitalize on that. But the you can tell if you go on any Instagram reels or TikTok reels or anything like that. TikTok's not reels, but you.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Yancey, you're frozen up here if you can still hear us.
Yeah, we lost you.
Okay. Maybe pause or something.
Yeah.
I'll go like this. Boom. You know when to pause it. That's the pause mark.
That's your fault. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well we'll pause this. Yeah, you're like
Okay,
this.
I'm gonna do it like this.
Cool. That'll work.
Give me like 2 seconds to find a break.
Yeah.
Dude, I just want to smoke a cigarette.
I was thinking about next time I draw a picture of you. There's one I saw where you've got like 3 cigarettes all at the same time. I thought that was a good
Yes,
one.
that was my profile pic for a second there. I may go back to that, but
If you think of a better one, just send it to me, but I'll probably go with that one.
yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Cool.
Go for it.
All right, cool. Well, just whenever you're ready, we'll get back into it. But no rush.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's fine right there.
Yeah, looks good. All right. And back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're hunting the shed, but
Out of the shed and into the car.
Yeah, we're taking this dinner to go.
Something that's one of my big things that's on my mind right now is I don't think we've talked about this actually, but I believe.
real quick, are y'all hearing any excess noise on my end?
No, you sound good.
Okay, great.
Big thing that's been on my mind lately is I think morality exists outside of people's perspective of it. So like there is a right and a wrong, and that is true regardless of like whether people know what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
What do y'all think about that?
Good question. I'd like to hear what Yancey has to say first.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I kind of have to believe that.
Yeah, it is. I think
even beyond my own perspective, I think that is absolutely true.
Yeah, I do too. And whatever that, like, basically, so what I'm saying is good and evil are real. So it's that does imply, just that by itself kind of says that'll take you to a religious point of view of like there is good and there is evil. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think so. You bring up the idea of morality from a perspective. I think that inherently we have a perspective as a human species. Just like our place on Earth, if we're going to approach it from a scientific perspective, good things are those that benefit humans. Being kind to your fellow man, acting as a group and helping each other. And bad things are hurting other people. And hurting the human species as a whole. Point is, those same things are analogous to a lot of our morality systems today. I mean, that's sin. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. I mean, that's just going to degrade your, society, that kind of thing. So I think that you're right. I think that there is morality implicit in humanity, just because as a species, what is good is what will keep us going.
For sure. Not only that, but I think, and we may have talked about this, but I think being evil is also stupid. And what I mean by that, like there are really smart people that practice evil, but what my point is that they would be smarter if they didn't, if they did good. And what I mean by that is like, if you hurt somebody, there is no way that you can ever truly understand the scope of that. Like, because if you hurt someone, maybe they hurt someone else, and it becomes like a chain reaction, and it ripples out forever. So like you can never really understand how much of an impact you've made. And that's true of being good too. Like you don't know how much of a difference you can make in someone's life just by smiling and being kind to them. Like that, they might take that and be kind to other people. So my point is, it's stupid to be evil because it will make the world worse. And it will, if the world is worse, that affects you. Like that affects you, yeah.
I think Evan hit on an interesting idea that morality exists because it facilitates a constructive, pro-social way of living. And I would actually push back on morality just as a pragmatic tool, because as long as the negative effects of immorality can be contained, then what point is there in being good? At least, maybe being perceived, other than being perceived as good, because it kind of goes back to the art
question for me. Morality has to be intrinsically good in and of itself, regardless of maybe sort of the external consequences of that. I think all the good that comes from it is secondhand when you see so many civilizations that are built upon violence, colonialism, democide, whatever. Though they seem to be doing just fine, and they kind of do have a pro-social, ethic, kind of guiding them. I won't mention a prominent country in the Middle East at the moment.
It's okay. It's okay. I will.
But no, because it's more the abstract is more important, I think, than the actual.
Yeah.
And yeah, as an abstract example, because they seem to be doing pretty well, regardless of their crimes, and they don't seem to be taking any steps back. If you get what I'm saying.
No, that's
so it kind of has to be, because if your position that is that, well, you need to abide by my moral code because it works. But what happens when it fails to account for an evil that can account for your goodness? Then that's where you get interesting. So I'm not really of the opinion that morality in and of itself or an ethic is good just because of what it produces. It has to be primal. It has to be transcendentally true, and it doesn't always have to necessarily be perceivable by the common man, but it does. It's something way more complex than I think I could delve into. My own perspective on it. I think there's a huge benefit to having like a pro-social, code of morality or religion, but it will eventually outlive its usefulness if it's only viewed in that sense, because people will kind of see it's kind of like what we're sort of experiencing now in America, which was like a historically Christian country. People are kind of understanding there are pro-social behaviors that you can adopt without the religion aspect of it, and that's sort of just following the pragmatic ends. And it seems to be getting us in some weird places in terms of foreign policy and in terms of government management. So it kind of has to be intrinsically believed. It has to be deep. It has to be deeper than just this serves like a pragmatic goal. Organizes people well. Socializes people well.
Let me throw something your way, man. So I think like a lot of behavior is based on incentives, like what you're going to get out of something. And it seems like that's, analogous between like individuals and also like societies too, countries and stuff, like what they're going to get out of the measures they take against each other, So point is, those incentives can drive you to good or evil. I think you bring up a good point about like, intelligence being a part of that morality too, because you need to basically put aside those incentives. You need to delay gratification and like wait for something good to happen, and also realize like maybe what benefits me right now is just like an evil thing, and maybe a lot of people aren't really realizing that.
Maybe a more interesting question is, how do you even define what is good or bad?
That is a very interesting question.
You can't arrive at that objectively, or at least without some presuppositions about the world. That's the struggle of reality. That's why people used to fight wars. Like Christians used to kill each other because some people wanted to go to church on this day, or indulgences were excessive or not excessive, or people needed to submit to their mode of seeing the world, because so much even within that there's a divide between people. And it goes so much deeper than just anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought, so you can pick that up.
Can I ask a follow-up question here? We kind of touched on this earlier. Do you think that countries and like societies are bound to morality like people do?
Are bound to morality? I don't think they are, because there's too much. How do you define? Well, depends on the system, I guess, because we clearly live in like the era of monarchy has been over for hundreds of years, if not, a few, like 1,000 years. Post Enlightenment thinking has brought us to the conclusion that things are better in the hands of sort of these like representative democracies, representative republics, or whatever. But ostensibly, cut through the bullshit, it's all oligarchy. And so, how do you find the accountability within oligarchies? It's almost impossible, and especially like in America, who's dropping the bombs? It's not Joe Biden, or sorry, selling the bombs. Who's selling the guns? Who's doing all this bad shit? Well, it's not Joe Biden. It's not Kamala Harris. It's not even going to be Trump. Sorry, MAGA people. Like the president doesn't have like that level of.
They don't do shit.
Not since FDR, because everything is run through an oligarchical bureaucratic structure. So to that end, even though there's bad shit happening, I don't think nation states are really held to that same moral standard that you can hold like an individual to. Just purely out of pragmatism. Like I don't think you can, you can have evidence against one person for something, but a whole nation, it's a little bit harder to parse.
For sure. A nation is not built on morality. A nation is built on like other kinds of structure.
Usually ethnos was kind of how nations were derived, but now we're in a new era where that's not really how nations organize themselves.
Good point.
Which comes with, growing pains. There are problems, but and that's just sort of looking at the world, like saying the state of sort of controlled chaos, or at least thing on the one hand, things are better than they've ever been, but they've never been worse because people are maybe more cooperative with people of different backgrounds and beliefs, racial, whatever, except for some people in the Middle East. But even counting that, people have never been more isolated, and people have never been more atomized.
Yeah, and they lack purpose too.
And like purpose, so then it comes to the question, well, okay, what is the balance between all these things? How do we keep people from killing each other, but how do we fulfill people's need to have a place, to have a people, to have a community, basically. Yeah. And that's sort of what you're seeing in the West, is like people on the far right really want to go back to an older way of thinking. People on the far left want to push on with the experiment of multiculturalism, and it's anybody's guess how it's going to work out, Sure. But that's just like a sober appraisal of the situation. It's about how people are able to organize themselves and find purpose. So it's a very interesting time to be alive for all the shit that doesn't happen. There is a lot of shit that is happening.
Yeah. So, for sure. When I pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the world, it gives me a lot of anxiety. But something my buddy says pretty often is it's also the silliest time to be alive. So although it's like a difficult time, it's also fucking hilarious. Like it feels like we're in a parody. Like it's like, how is any of this real? And you can either like you can be filled with anxiety and dread, or you can laugh at it. And I go back and forth between the extremes. Because on one hand, the memes are so dank right now. Like the memes are the best they've ever been. But also it's like, fuck, I wish this was happening in like a movie and not reality. But y'all have raised some really interesting points I'd kind of like to touch on. So when we're talking about the practicality of being moral, I think even if it does benefit you in the moment to do something evil, whether you're conscious of it or not, it stains your soul. Like when you do something bad, whether you realize it or not, it affects you. Mm-hmm. And so there is a practical element to that. Like, and I believe, whether it's like heaven or hell, or it's like Anubis weighing your heart against a feather, or it's just you holding yourself accountable, I do think that we are judged at the end of the day. And that can be a religious thing, or that can be, you will see what you've done. Like you will see the consequences of your actions. And so I think in that way, it does benefit people to be good, even if, like you said, like in the moment, it is, it benefits you to be bad. Like the good, like that's always going to be outweighed by the good. And again, like you make the world worse. So it's like, kind of like, so there's like white magic and black magic. And white magic, like to just simplify it, would be like that's Jesus. It's all for one, so, or it's one for all. So like I sacrifice myself for everyone. And then the opposite of that, like the archetype of the devil, which is I sacrifice everyone for me, all for one. And what happens if you sacrifice everyone for yourself is you're alone and miserable. You're the king of nothing. That's Beelzebub, the king of shit. It's the Lord of Flies. You are left, you're king, but all it is shit. And that is worse than sacrificing yourself for the benefit of all. And it's worse for you. It's worse for the individual that does that. So I think both things are true. You have to be good because it's the good thing to do, but it's also going to bite you in the end if you decide to be evil.
Actually, I'm going to push back. I think it's probably better to be evil. Probably have more fun. Probably able to get away with a lot.
Well, hey, on that, I mean, there's a reason people do it, right? Like there's a motivation for it, for sure.
It's incentives, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good point. That's a good point.
I think that's a purely like post-enlightenment rationalist way of looking at human behavior is purely incentive structured. You know, like that's sort of like the like Mencius Moldbug and all the problems he brings up about like Western governance is that it's a perverse incentive structure. And it's like that's true up to a certain extent. But like at the end of the day, there has to be an intrinsic motivation for things that exist beyond, you know, atoms. And that's what people embody when they do act evil or when they act good. Fundamentally, is it's something beyond the practical that they're reaching for. So,
but do you think? But do you think like Jesus is happier than Satan?
It depends on what happiness is.
Okay.
I don't think Jesus was necessarily happy.
Yeah.
In the way that we think of happiness.
Like fulfillment, more like it. Yeah.
Fulfillment, I mean, absolutely. And I think Satan is perfectly fulfilled in subverting and playing his role basically.
Okay.
As good point. But that's sort. Now you're talking about cosmological stuff that I'm not theologically.
Yeah, I just mean like like concepts, I guess. Like
no. Yeah. I think it kind of is that comes down to that binary of, you know, are you oriented towards the future and towards the collective, a pro-social outlook, or are you antisocial, selfish? It's not to say that one is necessarily good or evil. But it is to say that how you arrive at what is good and what is evil kind of exists beyond a pragmatic understanding of reality, you know, if that makes sense.
It's definitely not simple. Like we're talking about some very complicated things. So
I think most people should try to punch above their weight on like the abstractions of the material world. Like it's way more fun to talk with like normal people about, you know, this is kind of what I think, as opposed to like, you know, well-informed people. I find a lot more fun talking with guys like you about crap like this, other than like, you know, my Orthodox Christian or people in the Baptist church for that matter, because everything is kind of not my one Orthodox friend. If he watches this, I enjoy talking to him. But online, you know, a lot of people don't really want to wrestle with the idea that kind of both have an allure to them that defies logic.
Yeah. No, it is, you know, I don't have like, not trying to like say like rabbit hole is like super important or anything, but I do think this kind of stuff that we're talking about, like more people should talk about this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And I really like getting
Right.
different opinions because it makes me more well-rounded. Like it is cool talking to people about it that don't really think about this kind of
I
stuff.
can't hear you.
Oh, what about now? That's weird. Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, that's weird.
Your video's dropping off a little bit.
Oh,
I think it's catching back up with you though.
okay.
I think it switched from the resolution.
I gotcha. I think our recording's fine at least because it's recording off my computer. So we should, for
Awesome.
those that for Alice at home, I think it's okay. But yeah, man, it's definitely, yeah, I think we talked about it last time, but I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and
Woo.
did we talk about that last time?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. It's been
Yeah.
2 years. I forgot. Who are you again?
It's been a while.
But no, please recount.
Yeah, so I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and I was also homeschooled. So I didn't know anyone outside of my church.
Homeschool gang.
Homeschool gang, gang, gang. I didn't know anyone outside of my church until I moved out, and I was at 18. And the thing about organized religion that's always been an issue for me, because I have a really deep respect for Scripture and for the Bible. I think it's the most important thing ever written. My problem with a lot of like organized religion is a lot of these people don't know what they're talking about. Like I know when I went to church, you know, it's like you listen to your preacher, but you don't read the Bible. And it's like there's a lot of people like that.
I think you're touching on something that's infinitely more interesting to me, which is like the dangers of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I see all churches as bureaucracies waiting to be corrupted, you know, and
Yeah.
I think we come from the same perspective on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. And if you were the devil, the most effective thing you could do is infiltrate the church, right? Like flip it inside out.
Right.
That'd be the most dangerous thing you could do.
Exactly. And that goes back to like oligarchy, because it's ostensibly, you know, even the Catholic Church, which is probably the last refuges of some kind of a monarchical system, is not at all it's not at all a monarchy, it's oligarchy. So the
Yeah.
accountability goes into the ether, you know.
Yeah,
and
man.
it's hard to punish wrongdoers in an oligarchical structure, much like governments, like anything else. So I always see the problems as the organizers of whatever structure, you know, are the people at fault, which is a hard thing to do, especially if you're like a Protestant and all this, you know, corrupt crap that's going on with, you know, like mega churches and stuff like that. It's like, okay, who's accountable for this? I mean, of course, it falls on the guy who owns the LLC of, you know, Riverbed Ministries, and you know, but like they'll always come back better than ever because of that. Because accountability is hard to find in those types of structures.
Yeah, for sure. Money rules all in our world. Money is going to corrupt everything, unfortunately. That's something that me and my producer Neve talk about pretty often is isms. Like capital, like money is not a problem, but when you make it capitalism, so it's like my goal, my God is money. It's like that's a problem. Like it's a cult at that point, right? And but like, you know, you have apples, I got cash, us making an exchange, there's nothing wrong with that. It's when I need to get as much of this as I can and hoard it. That's when it becomes an issue. And like investing yourself entirely in something like that is always going to, like, that's never going to end well.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to that idea of morality, or an intrinsic morality. Is like there's a metaphysic that it sounds crazy to like normal
communists who are dialectical materialists, so they don't view things through the lens of metaphysics. But there is a metaphysical reason why people are oriented towards greed and like you know selfishness and an accumulation of wealth. And it's not just because, it's baked into the, the market structure at post-industrial revolution. It goes way deeper than that. Like, why? Like, you have to question the character of somebody who needs $1 billion for themselves, or needs all that money for themselves, and that they're not obviously not oriented around some sort of pro-social mechanism to justify, like, why they need that. It's not for the betterment of their group or their people or even their families. A lot of these guys, like, look at all these rich musicians who are like, I'm going to cut my kids out of the will, and they can start from scratch. I as much as I don't like, the super wealthy, I think it's just disgusting how people will kick their children to the curb, even if that means, not giving Timmy $1 million. It's like, Timmy is just as entitled to that as you are, your son, because he's your son, and you have to orient yourself around your posterity. And if you don't do that, then you're just selfish. It's the satanic thing, it's the devil, it's Lucifer, it's all for myself. I feel like I kind of get my thoughts jumbled there, but
let me ask you
definitely something. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that any of that is competition? Is that natural to the human spirit? Accumulation and like putting aside your fellow man and that kind of parasocial thing. Do you think that's competition?
I don't think it's healthy market competition. And the thing that I've read, at least in regards to capitalism, is like capitalism and markets are not the same thing. Capitalism is somebody in the comments, can roast me for maybe not misunderstanding this, but the capitalism sort of comes with the understanding that or a capitalist structure requires an investment class that determines the direction of markets. It's not consumers who determine what markets produce. It's investors. So that in and of itself is not free market. I mean, I'm not like a Miltonian free market guy. Like, I don't really care. Like, as long as stuff is cheap, good. But stuff is not getting cheaper the more private entities are accumulating.
It's getting more expensive, and the products are worse.
Sure.
Yeah. Right? I will say that the one benefit of early monopolies was innovation. There was like per capita more innovation under early monopolies. I'm fuzzy on the history, but just looking at charts, it's like, okay, innovations in any given year in the early 20th century, most come from having that capital and none of the competition and time to innovate. But let's see, corporations are not even oriented towards that anymore. They're oriented towards copying and maximizing the bottom line. And like, you only need to look at how wages decoupled from productivity in like the 70s to see, like, okay, clearly it became more important to shore up the wealth of corporations than it was to make sure people can eat. And for what purpose is that? Well, per capita innovation is down, so it can't be that.
Sure.
Like, it's got to just be greed.
So let me ask you about, like, on an individual scale, do you think that humans are inclined towards competition like that?
Absolutely. Healthy competition. I mean, what is a high school football team? What is a high school soccer team? Like, a competition, there's always been competition. It's always been more violent in the past, but since we've entered a modern era, it's taken on a more masturbatory, not like in a gross masturbatory way, but it like definitionally it is masturbatory, because it's fulfilling some sort of primal desire without actually doing the thing.
Sure.
And you do that with sports now, or political arguments on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's my favorite, trolling Karens, dude. I love it. It gives me a lot of fulfillment.
Some people
it's
don't
great.
know when they're being trolled, man. Like
That's the
it's
best.
so funny to go somebody who's diehard red or diehard blue and just like, just like mess with them.
I love it. It's my favorite.
Not that I'm like an enlightened centrist, but it's just like, yeah, clearly this is like this is just sports.
Yeah.
It's just sports for most people, and that's fine. That's why I don't believe in democracies, because people just want to belong to somebody or like a tribe or a team that they think is vying for their benefit. So it's like, okay, that's normal. That's a normal desire to have, but most people shouldn't be involved in how we run a country of 350 million people. That kind of is above anything that the normal person can quantify or understand. The normal person doesn't have a sense of scale, and I'm saying that as a normal guy who doesn't understand the problem of scale in the markets. Like, not that I'm a proponent of credentialism or like, vested interest already deciding how people live or how we should organize the economy. I mean, that's clearly gotten us nowhere. But like, people just shouldn't be involved in the electoral process. Because it devolves into oligarchy and just patronage networks. It's just people paying out other people to, hey, give me your vote.
In America, it used to be that you could only vote if you owned land. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea, because it's like you are invested in this. Like,
right.
I'm going to push back on that. Every major city in the United States is primarily renters. You lose most of your demographics in the urban centers of America.
Yeah. I mean, okay, that actually, okay.
The thing with renting is that most people who rent for life, and I was a renter, but I've since bought a home, is like, people who perpetually rent, and I get it if you live in a big city, that's kind of the only way to go. But it does bring up the idea that like you're not oriented around the future. You don't really have as much of a stake in monetarily how things go one way or the other. Not to say that people shouldn't be hurt if they rent, but it does sort of imply that your orientation around perceiving the future is your time scale is very small. And so how could you possibly foresee this economic bill that's coming up that everybody gets to vote on? But that's just a problem with representative democracy or republics, is that you're not really going to get the best. Like, no, I don't think most people should be entitled, even landowners, honestly, to
I think so bringing up renting is a good point, because I think that is actually a huge problem with our current housing market. Is there should not be renting. I don't think you should be able to have all these properties and then Airbnb them. Like that's fucked up when we have if renting was not a thing, the price of houses would significantly drop, right? And then people could buy homes. So I mean, I don't think people should be able to like rent out houses like that at all.
Would you call them parasites?
Yeah. I mean, okay, like for example, right? If I buy PS5 comes out and I buy a bunch of PS5s and then scalp them online, like double the price and sell them on eBay, right? That's scalping. If I buy tickets to a show and like buy them all up and then sell them at double the price, that's scalping. If I do it with a house, I'm an investor. If I buy a house and then like flip it for double the value, it's investment.
Sure. Hold on, just making sure. Yancey, we still coming through clear?
Yes, I just dropped my phone like an idiot.
Hell yeah. Cool. No, but renting is kind of destroying our country, the way people,
Sure.
Yeah, that was just me speaking about renting in the abstract, but like, normal people are not able to buy houses, and BlackRock's buying up houses. Like, okay, that should be like illegal. That should be like,
absolutely should.
You're caught buying one house. All right, you're fined for like $100 million. Like, that's That's ridiculous. You know,
You need a really good negative incentive.
You know, this kind of line of thinking gets me. I'm a very radical person about my solutions, because we cannot rely. I think
we're just gonna kill him. We're just gonna kill him.
Hey, he said it, not me. But like we can't, if we're gonna wait for these people to have a change of heart, we're gonna wait forever. And I mean, like, our country is kind of founded
No,
on.
dude, you just gotta trust the invisible hand of the market, the invisible God hand of the market. It'll sort out everything.
I don't have any faith in that God. But
isn't that hilarious though, that like the post-enlightenment free market guys like were able to create their own God, and it's like the invisible hand of the, like, people don't get the religious connotations that come with it. So
I think everyone worships something. Yeah,
absolutely.
My big things are the pursuit of knowledge and liberty. I am a grown man. No one should be able to tell me what the fuck I can and can't do about anything. And I mean, you know, is okay. And that's not to say I can go hurt other people, because that's infringing on their liberty, right? So it's like, I can't take someone's life, because ultimately that's me telling them that I'm being an authority. I'm telling them what they can and can't do. You can't live, right? But it's like, no one,
which is sort of how politics has always been, though. Yeah. Politics is always groups vying for power to marginalize the liberty of others, and that's not me trying to like cast aspersions about like how history is like wrong and immoral. It's just like I agree with that, you know, wholeheartedly in the abstract. Like, yeah, nobody should be telling anybody what to do, but eventually there will be people who tell other people what to do, and you have to safeguard against that. And kind of how do you do that? Well, you have to sort of limit the liberty of people to behave in certain ways.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, you know, our country was founded on fuck you, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And you know, even after our country was founded, we had to do that, like the Boston Tea Party. And it's just been a long time since we've policed our government. It's been a long time since we've told the government, you're not running shit, we are. You work for me, not the other way around. You are a civil servant.
Put it back on that a little bit, because we're founded on the idea that, like, yes, philosophically, nobody should be able to tell anybody how to live their lives. And then the founders immediately turned around and started a war over whiskey tax.
Yeah.
Here's some people. The early years of America after the Revolution are just such a shit show. Like it's like, okay, did these ideas of liberty really, like, is that really what people were striving for, or were they just kind of fighting for, you know, a power to represent them? And I think that, yeah, I think that's sort of what the Revolutionary War was. It was because, I mean, they wanted to make Washington a monarch. You know, they weren't really like against monarchism or, you know, the ruler for life idea. They just wanted to be away from people that they thought had no say in how they acted for over 100 years.
Yeah, they just wanted to control it. No, I agree with you. I'm a big believer in what America is supposed to be.
Right.
I don't know if it's ever really been that.
I don't think it ever will be. I think it was an incredibly idealistic way to view the world, which is, you get back to isms. I'm also a subscriber in don't subscribe to isms or ideology. Just, you know, these things kind of get you nowhere, and they pigeonhole you when it's time to make tough decisions. You know, like, well, I'm breaking some sort of principle. I mean, of course, there are principles that people cannot break, or they sacrifice their humanity, kind of like what you talked about. But more broadly, political principles like crap, I lost my train of thought. I needed a cigarette.
Yeah, no, it's definitely complicated, and I might be I don't mean to say that any of this is easy, right? It's not.
Right. I think that's exactly what you were saying. It's easy. Just subscribe to my worldview.
none of these things, all these things require a lot of effort, and they may not be ultimately attainable. Because, like, for example, I'm all about liberty, but when that's not really in a what would satisfy me? I have no idea. I have no
Yeah.
clue. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, I mean, for starters, right? Like, I should be able to take whatever I want and put it like my body, my choice, right? So I should be able to take whatever substance I want. I should be able to, and on the other end of that, I shouldn't have to put anything in my body that I don't want to, right? It's like, I think that's a good starting place is don't tell me what I can and can't digest.
Here's
Even
an
if it-
interesting idea. Whatever I do doesn't hurt anybody. I can do whatever I want as long as it doesn't affect other people. Everything you do affects other people. I feel like that's sort of the flip side of that. That's not to say one thing or the other, but it's clear that whoever's in power can see that and will, be preemptive in subjugating whoever they deem whoever's effect on the world is negative.
Yeah.
Because everything you do affects somebody else.
I would make an argument that, like, if I got addicted to meth and then drastically changed my behavior, that would affect the people around me.
That'd be base. You should do meth.
It would be hella base.
How much better would this show be if you did meth, dude?
The episodes would be a lot faster.
We'd get a lot more covered.
We'd probably figure it out. And by it, I mean everything.
You know what? You talked me into it.
Let's both do meth for like a year. For like a year, and then like come back and like, man, I really do that. Dude, we could have like freaking like papers written up about our dispositions on, how we should organize government after meth. Like, we need a one meth republic. That's what we need.
People would love it.
A whole economy and governmental structure driven by amphetamines. We have yet to see that.
That's Nazi Germany.
And look how well they did. No.
They did pretty well for themselves, honestly. Well,
they
almost won World War II.
That's what people don't want to talk about is like, okay, they got pretty efficient in like a short span of time. Like they're,
and amphetamine was a big part of that.
Panzer chocolate. Meth infused chocolate.
Where I was going with that.
Yeah, chocolate. Mach schnell.
Where I was going with that is if my actions started to, it would have affect the people around me, but y'all have the ability to cut me off at that point, right? That's so you get to decide how much that affects you, because you can just cut that person out of your life.
That only works in a group of people that aren't atomized, where you don't live 120 miles away from me, and people have more of a vested interest in you than just a friend. That's sort of the responsibilities of families in the traditional sense.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like, that's true. As a father, you have a unique perspective on that, actually. But that's another good point, right? Is like, okay, so when it comes to children, my view on this changes. Like, children should have authority over them, right?
Right.
Like, you can't let them do whatever they want. That's not in their best interest.
I don't know, man. Maybe we should. They got a lot of bright ideas.
I mean, dude, I definitely have learned a lot from little kids. Like, if you listen to a kid, they can teach you a lot. It's kind of crazy, actually.
They really do. I mean, like that's another thing that sort of is missing in the modern era, is like this enchantment that comes from children. And, people can choose not to have kids, but more people are choosing not to have kids. And it kind of shows with how even the types of media we consume, it's all disenchanted. And like, think about how awesome Marvel would be if it was made for kids instead of like
adult.
instead of people our age or older who like, cynical, like, working day job people. Like, we wouldn't have as many of these. That just happened. We'd have a lot more. We'd have a lot more awesome.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
The consequences of my actions, they're right behind me, aren't they?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, if Marvel was made for kids and not people with neck beards, then it would be a lot better.
Dude, that's when Marvel was awesome. When it was like 14 and then the Avengers came out. It's like, holy crap, this was made for me. I feel seen. I feel represented. I'm a little kid. And now it's like, you know,
Disney's such a fucking joke, dude. They ruined Marvel and Star Wars like at the same time. It's kind of crazy. Like, remember when like Captain Marvel came out and tanked, and they're like, people don't like this because they hate women. And it's like, well, that's not what the people who don't like it are saying.
yeah,
That
exactly.
and then now
It just made
Acolyte,
a terrible movie. I mean,
yeah, and now Acolyte, the Star Wars thing, the latest Star Wars
yes,
thing that came out,
yes.
season 2 got canceled, and they're doing the same thing. They're like, people don't like this because they hate women.
It is so strange to see people who I know of on the left that are anti-corporate in every aspect of their lives
Except Disney.
jump to defend Disney for the Acolyte. Oh, you just don't like it because strong women. No. And even if I did, that wouldn't matter. It's a shit show. I mean, like, okay, there's strong women, and it's a good show. Okay, you got me. I hate it because I hate women. But no, but like, it's a bad show, and people hate women. I mean, okay, you still have a bad show on your hands.
Yeah, like what really got me was Dune, because I'm a big Dune fan. And
What did
Dune,
you think of Dune? What did you think of Dune?
okay, Dune 2, Dune 1, awesome. Dune 2, fucking awesome. Except one thing, and that's Cheney, the character played by what's her name?
Zendaya.
Yeah, Zendaya. Her character, and I'm not even really upset with her as much as the writers, because Zendaya or Cheney in the books is a strong female character. She's a great fucking character. And did we lose you?
Right.
You still there? Damn. Rest in peace, Yancey. Oh, there he is. Can you hear us?
Sorry, I switched to Wi-Fi because my dad is going up, and I'm like, oh, just was on there. But no, you were saying about
Yeah. Yeah. So Cheney in the books,
character.
yeah, that character in the books is a very strong, powerful character. And Dune is full, like his mom too. It's full of these really
Right.
powerful female characters. And it's like you don't have to change anything to like to this character. But instead, what they did is they're like, why don't we make this strong female character a strong female character? And it's like, no, she already was. Like, why did you? And what they ended up doing is she's a completely different character in the movies. And I didn't like the direction they
I
went.
know. I saw the first one on streaming. I watched the second one in theater, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty decent. It feels like there's something missing from this, though. Like, and Cheney's character becoming the stand-in for the female writer is like so obvious because it's like you said, it's like she is already, at least in the books, like she's a mother. She understands Paul's journey, and
Yeah.
she is like instrumental in him becoming who he is.
Yeah.
And you don't have to rewrite it. You don't have to rewrite that. But they can't help themselves. They have to take everything that appears to be like patriarchal or whatever. When you already don't have to do that. It was written by like a hippie in the 60s, who like his wife worked like while he wrote the book. Like you don't really have to write that in there. It's kind of already in there.
Dune was already woke. Like it's full of strong female characters that like it's very female driven. His mom and Cheney do everything. And like they totally ruined that with like I mean his mom's still a fucking badass in the movie. But Cheney in particular, like she in the book, she's a warrior, she is a mother, she's a teacher, she's like a leader, And in this, she's like, I'm rebelling against everything that's happening because reasons.
Yeah, they have to make Paul's journey a dark one rather than one about destiny and achievement and the weight of destiny, because that has like weird implications for some reason for modern people. The idea that like a strong man has to make this, has to take on a situation and fulfill his destiny. I need to read the books, but yeah, it seems like they're so averse to that, and it makes the story weaker. You don't get a better Dune because of it. You get a worse Dune because you're still pulling from all this stuff and you're rewriting it. So it's the problem with Star Wars too. Like, you already have a universe here. You don't have to like shoehorn in your political, like it. George Lucas is freaking woke too. I mean, like, all of these guys are like, okay, they're not like radical reactionaries, writing this fiction, but that, I mean, that's sort of the paradox of progress and progressive. It always has to be upping the ante, and it can never be happy with what's come before. To quote Kamala Harris, these people think they fell out of a coconut tree. So we're having a brat summer, and you think you fell out of a coconut tree. Like,
oh, what a joke. Yeah, man, it is pretty crazy. But yeah, another thing that they changed from the book to the movie is in the book, it's a jihad. He is leading the jihad, and it is a holy war.
Yes,
he is the Kwisatz Haderach.
They literally took like the most based part about the book out. Jihad against.
It's because that has a maybe a negative connotation for a lot of people now.
Not for me. Not for me. Wait, did you? No, not to get your. Yeah, I don't know how YouTube is these days, but. No, I mean, like, yeah, come on, like people can't handle reality.
They can't handle reality.
All these millennials can't handle reality. No, but like, there is an element of like, this is a little too real. We need to like reorient this. It's kind of going off the rails a little bit, which is. It's annoying if you like fiction that has or like Lord of the Rings or something that tries to imitate reality and all the sort of unsavory aspects about reality.
Yeah, it's sanitized. It doesn't want you to think critically. Yeah.
Right. It does not want you to make any sort of draw any conclusions that are your own about the media. They can't just like adapt the book as is, but have everything associated with the jihad or with Paul's authoritarian rise to prominence. They can't just have that, but let it linger in the back of your mind. Like, ooh, isn't that kind of creepy how that happens? No, they have to tell you straight up, like, Paul does not want to be, does not want to fight a holy war. He actually hates it because he's the good guy, but he's not the good guy.
Terrible purpose.
And what's her name? I keep forgetting her name. Cheney also wants to fight the jihad, but kind of not in a radical way, like in a it doesn't make any sense. Like she's such a ideologue, but yet she's opposed to the idea of Paul taking radical measures to upend the governmental system of the universe. Wow, I wonder if that has any like real world connotations. Like, oh, we should definitely overthrow the corrupt corporations that are raiding our planet.
Well, it's kind of like you're saying, man, like the people that are like, don't tell me what I can and can't do, are also like, make sure you get the vaccine and let's vote for a police officer. And like, make up your mind. Do you not like the government, or do you? And the same is true on the other end too, is like, we're all super pro authority, but also like, fuck authority. Like, neither side can make up their minds about whether they're pro-government or not.
It's democracy when we put in a puppet dictator in a foreign country, but it's not democracy when people vote for a mean orange man. Like, okay, either voting for the orange man and him getting elected is democracy, and that's a bad thing, or not. But it's the hypocrisy of people's political beliefs. But it really just shows how people are unable to have the balls to go outside of the post Enlightenment frame that democracy is how you run nations.
Yeah.
Like, now sometimes That's not how things get done. Clearly, that's not how things get done in like countries where we overthrow the dictator. A democratic election. We don't have democratic elections to overthrow dictators.
We don't have democratic elections here either.
No, I mean, like, I don't believe representative republics are a democracy is a mob, and once you go above a mob, that's not democracy. So I mean,
democracy is when the whole town decides that they're going to go grab someone out of their home and hang them in the street. That's
democracy.
That's democracy. It's mob.
But that's messy, so we can't have democracy. We need a what's the Helldivers 2 crap? Managed democracy. Managed democracy. That's such a perfect term. Such a perfect term for what we live under. Managed democracy.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely complicated stuff. For sure. So, okay, so this kind of brings me to the next thing I want to ask you. So I'm right now feels a lot like Revelations or John's Revelation to me. What's your projection for the next like 50 years? What do you think will be in 50 years?
Not Revelation. I grew up in the part of the country where every person above the age of 50 has back pain and thinks Jesus is coming back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like I think we've got like another 3,000 years of whatever the hell, I mean, no man knows the day or the hour, like it says, but so I project that like if you're seeing signs, it's probably not the time.
Okay.
I think it. I don't.
Well, I hope you're wrong because it's going to get even worse if you're right.
I'll put it this way: I think during the Black Plague, what percentage of European population died?
30, high estimates, almost 50 in some countries like England.
Yeah, so that would feel like Revelation to me, and it wasn't.
Yeah. No, every generation has felt this way. You're right.
Yeah.
End times has always been something on people's minds.
But to me, it seemed like a way for Christians to get out of like taking care of their grandkids.
Okay, good point.
Yeah,
that's just me. And I'm like, I've literally had people tell me like, "Don't worry about your kids, man. Jesus is coming back." And I'm like, all right, I can go drinking, I can go clubbing, I can focus on music more. No, even if that were true. How would that reflect on me if I started to behave however I wanted just because I thought reality was coming to a close,
Yeah, that's insane. There has to be personal responsibility. You're right. The answer is not just, that's something I argue with my mom about. Is like, it's like, yeah, I think that God does have a plan, but that plan is like us doing shit about it. Like,
right.
We're part of that plan. You can't be a spectator to what's going on. You have to participate in the way the world moves.
So much of modern evangelicalism is just a way of pacifying people into not doing anything about either their own lives or the country they live in.
And ironically, that's anti-Christian because Jesus is all about doing some shit, about fucking up the status quo. So
yeah, and there's, of course, there's render unto Caesar. There's your moments for that, but that is even like,
as long as it doesn't infringe on God's rules, right?
Right. Well, I was going to say it's way more pragmatic than just like give up, because render unto Caesar. Yeah, you don't have the capabilities, Jews, to overthrow the Roman Republic or the Roman Empire at the time.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
So, but what happened when they, like 300 years later, it became a Christian Christian empire. So it's like, so there's prudence in biding your time, waiting, and then when you have the capability, that's the practical side of render unto Caesar. It's not just like be meek. It's literally like, really, you really want me to lead a revolt against the Roman Empire right now? Like, okay, like that's not, for one, I'm not going to do it for you, and two, that's not going to happen, and just be patient.
Yeah.
But that does entail like how the apostles were able to build such a huge empire. They were forward thinking. They Evan said it earlier, a high time preference or a low time preference. Sowing seeds for the future. They wanted to radically upend what they were living under. And
that's the only thing stopping me from starting a religious jihad
you would fail, and you would. That's another thing too. This is why I love people like Curtis Yarvin and Mencius Moldbug. Have you read Mencius Moldbug? He wrote Curtis. His name's Curtis Yarvin. He wrote like on a blog in like 2007 under the pen name Mencius Moldbug. There's really cool stuff you'd probably appreciate in there. But he talks about the act of being a public dissenter is like asking for the part of a villain in a play. You reinforce all of these presuppositions about the governing structure when you protest against it in broad daylight without power, or you try to wage jihad or whatever. So you justify them saying, "Hey, we need more power now. We need more. We need a bigger police state. We need more crackdowns."
Yep. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. It won't work, and it'll make things worse. That's
right.
That's the only thing stopping me.
Render unto Caesar. So
I've been in some very dark states of mind where I'm like, I'm gonna go do something that's gonna get me killed or arrested, and I'm still.
It'd probably be better to just go door to door. If you got diagnosed with cancer, just look up your sex offender registration and go make some door knocks. I think that would be better for society than like going to bomb the Fed or something.
I like that. I think you're right. That would actually.
That's a little bit more on the level and like, man.
That's real justice. That's real vigilante justice. I like that.
I prefer this vigilante serial killer over the terrorist any day.
Absolutely, Evan's got it.
That brings me to my boy Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber.
Boy,
my biggest problem with Ted is he didn't get shit done. He just killed a lot of innocent people.
Oh yeah.
Like, he's right about a lot of shit, but in practice, he didn't actually accomplish anything.
Well, that just goes to show that being too smart can drive you insane.
Yeah, I feel that. Not that I'm too smart.
This is a warning against being high IQ. I stay on the bottom of that bell curve, baby, all day long.
Yeah,
bottom of the bell curve, bros. Sub 90. Sub 90, or we're gonna change the world.
Damn right.
Wild times, man. Do you want to start wrapping up here? You got like another 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to talk about the album a little bit more if you had any more.
Yeah. Sorry, we got on some crazy shit.
Yeah, I love it. I wanted to say something crazy so I could clip it on Twitter, but
fuck yeah. Please do and tag me.
But I'll probably say more unhinged stuff about the music side of things than anything, because I hate most of those people you're up there with. Like, I hate most of them. There's a few who are great, but most are just shit.
You mean in Nashville?
Yes.
We'll have to talk about that offline, like more particularly.
Yeah. I don't know who you're friends with, but we'll talk about people in the abstract.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I know a lot of them. Like friend is kind of a, I am friends with a lot of them, but
can we just talk about like, why is good shit not getting made? What are your thoughts on that?
What do you mean, like good music?
Not even just good music, but nothing that speaks to the moment. Not like politically, like, oh, this is, but like literally touching on something metaphysical, or not necessarily transcendental, but like, oh yes, this is absolutely, this hits the nail on the head about the moment. I always thought the band Always kind of did that a little bit. They hit a lot of great notes on the millennial psyche, which I'm a Zoomer, but like I share a lot of those anxieties and things like that. But that's, and there might be a couple bands here and there. Kanye is like one of those guys, not so much for the music that he makes, but definitely is like emblematic of the time we live in. Schizophrenic, sex obsessed, but like incredibly vital and human, and like evil, but also incredibly good. Like something about Kanye.
He's honest, let's say. He's
honest. Yeah.
He's a real human being, for sure. He
sure.
exists. No, I appreciate authenticity for sure. No, I think there is a lot of good stuff being made, and there's even more garbage being made. But there is good music being made that is like kind of. I see what you're saying though. It's not just about good and bad. It's in the moment and honest. There are artists like that. There's even more bullshit though.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the format of digitally recorded music, the ease and ability. I'm a huge proponent of gatekeeping when it comes to the arts, because that, I mean, not like so I could get my foot in the door. Like my stuff probably shouldn't be released, but like it's you do like the thing about the classical era. People were handpicked by rich families. Like, hey, here's a place to live and eat and just you know find inspiration and basically work for us, or it was patronage. Nowadays, with the consumerist model of music, it's about putting out the worst shit imaginable, or like. But as another thing I wanted to talk about, and I wanted your perspective on it, just the sort of the bad. I was talking about TikTok and the reels, just seeing endless bad music, but it's like shared so much that it becomes um not niche, but like people are able to sort of get traffic and build an online brand because it's so bad.
Yeah.
My theory is that it's like one of the last vestiges of like true authenticity in sort of.
It's fake. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like, because something being you know honestly terrible or earnestly incompetent is way more alluring than something that is like moderately competently made. I don't know. Maybe it's just my algorithm just sends me the worst shit imaginable.
Yeah, your algorithms is full of the worst shit. It is like specifically given you because you engage with it. It's like,
I
you
think
must like this.
Oh, your shit's bad. You must be like these other guys. Like, all right, I get it.
I got the perfect thing for you. Yeah, it is funny how that works. Like, oh man, the shit you send me is like,
oh yeah,
so consistently garbage.
Yeah,
and vice versa. Yeah, we're feeding off of each other. Absolutely. Our algorithms are built off.
It's made us both far worse people to interact with. That's great.
Oh man. So the name Killer Kauboi, Kauboi.
Mm-hmm.
What let's talk about the inspiration for this album.
Yeah, I like Japanese things.
Fucking weeb.
I like Japanese things.
I don't like good Japanese.
I wanted to use like Japanese font, but it's like that's. If Beck did an album in 2019 with Japanese font, I don't need to do that. That's clearly a sign that's over. But like, I love old Western iconography, but I don't like the way the word cowboy like aesthetically looks. So Cowboy looked a little bit cleaner, and then Killer Cowboy, Cowboy Killer, cigarettes, whatever. It's like just flip that around. Okay, all right, that's the title. But I kind of not to like get too much into it or like be pretentious about it, but like I recorded all that stuff and listened kind of back to it, and I kind of got the idea that I was trying to find things that like, or like little sounds or little nuggets of things that resembled something that my younger ear, like sixth grade, would hear and be like, okay, that's interesting. So I have vivid memories of listening to Ashes to Ashes by David Bowie on my PSP, like the Ultimate Zoomer experience.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, like, and like how that keyboard stuck with me throughout my entire life, and the way those vocals are, and like nothing is like, it's all a little off kilter. It's taking you to a subconscious place. Again, not to sound too pretentious about it, but it is definitely like not a typical pop song. So it's like trying to touch on things kind of like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know how to say, like, the music you make is like, if I didn't know what kind of music you made, I would assume you made a different kind of music. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I not in like a bad way, but like it's just um not what I would expect.
Cool.
It's really I really fucking dug it. Like we were listening to it before you got here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot. I mean, that really does mean a lot. I don't like fishing for compliments, but like from one artist to another, yeah, that means a lot. So
Well, yeah, I mean it's good. I'm really impressed with the production because especially knowing now that it's DIY, I wouldn't have assumed that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome because my label didn't like the mixes, so
really,
I've been second guessing all that. Yeah, well, I sent it to my, I like the label I'm on. They're nice and everything, but I sent him the album, and I have an EP that I'm going to follow up with. It's like leftover tracks, and he came back at me with like, "Are you sure you want to put this out? Like the mixes, this is not your strongest stuff." And I'm like, "Could it be the mixes? Like, is it just like mixed badly?" And then I sent it to like a couple different people, but then again, they like weird shit, so they're like, "No, this sounds good." So I was like, "Oh God, like I hope I didn't make like a purposely obtuse sounding album."
it's definitely weird, but I think that's part of what works about it. It's different. Did you also mix that yourself?
Yes, I did everything.
That's insane.
Thank you, thank you. I'm limited because I don't live in a music scene. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Anybody who would want to record with me is like an hour away, and like I have so much limited time, or so much. I have such a limited amount of time that I can actually dedicate to like recording. So just doing everything myself has always been the easiest route, and that shows up in the bad, but hopefully some good stuff is in there. Trying to focus less on building out songs as I envision them in my head, and just kind of letting the process take them. Because I don't. Have you listened to that song Millie yet?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I listened to King of Everything, Killer, and a couple other ones. I don't think that was one of them though.
Anyway, but yeah, that was one of the Millie song was one of those that started out as like something different, and then by the end of it was almost unrecognizable in like the best way. But yeah, it was not fun recording it that much in my garage.
It like I hear all the time about how expensive it is to record and mix things. So you telling me you did that at home and mixed it yourself? I'm like, well, I guess it can't be that expensive.
Like, shout out to Tanner Fuller for letting me use his Ableton license to record that whole album.
Tanner, he from Nashville?
Yes.
I know
yeah,
Tanner.
He plays drums with me from time to time. Yeah.
Oh, dude, fuck yeah.
And we're buds.
I love Tanner.
Yeah, he's great. He's let me use Ableton for a few years now.
Yeah, he's in a band called Young Robot. Shout out to Young Robot.
Yep.
The frontman of that band, Michael Carter, he actually did the opening song that plays before all these episodes. He did the
nice
song.
I went to the Sky Daddy launch show a few years ago. It was fun, definitely.
Yeah, those are good people. Shout out to Sky Daddy. We do a little festival on my birthday. We call it Bunny Roo.
Nice.
And Sky Daddy also promoted and put that on. So those are the homies. They're doing a thing called Possum Stock actually, and Rabbit Hole is a sponsor this year. It's a festival out in Adams, Tennessee.
I've heard of it. Yeah, I gotta try and come up to that sometime.
Yeah, man, it's September 6th and 7th. We'll be there. I have a booth set up. Be there all weekend.
I gotta try and come up to that.
Yeah, man, it'd be good to see it. If not that, then like definitely let me know next time you're playing a show or just when you're coming to town.
I am playing in October and November up in Nashville.
Okay. Do you have dates for those yet?
Yeah, I'll send them to you.
Yeah, send them to me, and that way I'll put it on the post when I put this up.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't see why. I want to rant about the drums. Can I rant about the drums?
Rant about drums, yes.
I hate that
I'm gonna
people
get some sweet tea. Go ahead.
Go to a studio and rent. God knows how much they're paying to be in a studio and have their drums sound like that shit, that freaking garbage. You know what I'm talking about, Evan? Do you understand? Do you know the sound? It's like,
give me some examples.
I don't want to disparage anybody who might be a friend of
Maybe any kind of
Alex,
punching up examples, more popular stuff people might.
but maybe like crap, something like a Greta Van Fleet or something like that. You know, like that,
Okay.
like a real drum sound or something like that. Why do people do that? It always sounds like theirs don't sound that bad, but it's like obviously trying to go for like a a sort of post 2000s drum sound that's like a little bit compressed,
Sure.
but is like I can't stand it, man. I hate it. Like drums seems like the easiest thing you could well, maybe not the easiest thing to mic up and everything, but it's definitely the easiest you could like get away with experimenting with because it's atonal.
Yeah.
So like you could put it like I used sample drum sounds on Kauboi, but I put a phaser on one of the drum kits on one song and it just added a nice dynamic. And it's like, why don't people? I want to do this on the next album that I'm working on, but like crunch the drums up and I try not to make them sound like real drums. I love like a good goosh,
Yeah,
like new wavy goosh, thick snare sound and
like that too.
a kind of a deep kick. But on the opposite end of that, I hate not on the opposite end of that, but like I hate hi-hats, I sampled hi-hat sounds because it just sounds so terrible. But like I do have them on one song or two songs because it needed it.
Sure.
But like I just hate how stuff's recorded now, and even if it sounds good, it just doesn't sound novel to me. Like we're in an age where you can do so much with digital. Not that I'm like I wish we could go back to tape. I'm trying to just get to where I can record on tape exclusively. That would be so freaking amazing. But like all of those great drum sounds of the 70s, like it's because they're recording on tape and it does not actually sound like the room. You know, the way that it's captured on tape does something to it. You know, I'm sure somebody could tell me like that's not right. It actually sounds exactly like how the drums sound. But like you can definitely tell like a drum sound like on Strawberry Fields Forever. That's tape slowed down a little bit and you get like a different ambiance with that kind of stuff. Guitars and all that crap is fine. Like, miking in the traditional way that guitars are mic'd is actually not done as much. People just plug in their rig straight to the board, or they don't mic the room. I wish people would mic the room when it comes to guitars because that feels like there's still a lot of untapped stuff there with how you could get an interesting sound. But no, I try to find novel sounds that are a little off kilter. I like it to sound a little bit cheap. I like the aesthetic choices that Ariel Pink makes. That's sort of where I kind of draw from some of that stuff. But anyway, that's sort of my rant on the drums. Not much of a rant. I'm a little bit low energy this episode.
You're low energy right now.
Am I? I feel like I am. I feel like I could have gone off on so much more stuff, but I was trying to save it. I thought we would talk about music a little bit more because I cannot stand half the bands that I listen to, and it's just all so terrible because they just want to be validated. Everybody just wants to be validated, and that's fine. But like, at least be validated for something interesting, instead of just like I hate the traditional rock band format now. Not because I hate the Stooges or I hate Grand Funk Railroad, but it's just like that type of dynamic doesn't suit the the time that we're in. There's so much more interesting things that could be done and they're just not being done. But anyway,
I do like the 70s drums. Yeah, that's
love
nice.
it. You cannot get a better sound than that for real drums.
I also really like I listen to a lot of hip hop, specifically like modern hip hop. And I really also like the clicky, like digital drums. I like that shit too.
Yeah.
Like
I kind of hate some of that stuff, but Jesus has some of the best sounding percussion on it because he's not using 808. He's using like a sample of something else as the snare, or something, like a on site. Like that's freaking weird. Like like that's genius. Like you get into sort of maybe industrial territory. Like there's some interesting stuff that's been done there, but like the problem is you have to make industrial music, which is like terrible to me.
It's like terrible on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's. I wish more people would. I know people could use tape, and they don't. I know people could do crazier shit with drums. They don't. And why are we still trying to write like riffy power trio, rock songs like with no interesting changes, nothing. I just hate it. It's the worst aspects of garage rock mixed with like aspirations to be like a 70s arena rock band. Like nobody can do that. And even when it's good, I say good or competent, like Greta Van Fleet, it's like, okay, why the hell are we like doing that? Like why?
Yeah.
Like why do we need to remake Physical Graffiti? It already exists.
I think part of this is something I heard before that like really kind of changed my mind on stuff is like you have songwriters, you have musicians, and you have showmen. And sometimes you get all three. But some of that like early stuff, what makes it so good is the way it is. And there's a lot of stuff like this too now too, but like divvying it out is like you don't it like there are a lot of really solid musicians that don't write interesting things. It's like they're really good at playing, but the music they decide to write is not interesting. And it's like if someone else wrote the songs and they just performed them, like, and then you get like an interesting frontman. Like you don't have to do everything.
That's the Who. That is the Who. You had two of the greatest musicians ever, Entwistle and Moon, as the rhythm section, and they're not even playing like a rhythm section. They're playing like keyboards, basically. They're doing the dynamic that a keyboard does, and like Pete Townsend's the only rhythm instrumentalist, and he's the writer, but he's not the best. He's not a good singer. And then you have Daughtry, who's nothing but a good singer. He's a terrible writer, and that's a perfect combination. And then you get stuff like the Beatles, where it's like three of the best writers ever.
Yeah.
But and two of them are some of the best performers ever. But anyway, but like I'll pick an easy target to make fun of is like white women, like these like young white women who come to Nashville and go to like Belmont and stuff. They cannot write anything, and they can't perform anything, and they cannot play anything, and all their songs are about an ex-boyfriend. I hate that aspect of modern writing where it's all about lived experience. Like try to write about something you've never experienced before. Like that's what John Lennon would.
That's such an interesting take. Like that's so the opposite of what I hear often. That's funny.
So are you a fan of a good concept album then?
Of what?
Good concept album kind of thing?
I mean, like, I don't think it's ever been done really well outside of like Quadrophenia or like, Dark Side of the, or no, Wish You Were Here is the best concept album ever because the concept is not like political or like down your throat about anything. It's all like a personal concept about losing somebody, but them still being there. And it's the perfect concept album, and it's the concept album that everybody should take notes on.
That is a really good one.
But
a lot of what Floyd did is really just perfect in a lot of ways.
And Waters is one of the best writers ever. I mean, truly like lyrically like untouchable. Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, just like incredible. Even though it's not as good as the Floyd stuff, it's just like the lines this guy writes. It's just phenomenal. We don't have. That's a big thing. We don't have good writers anymore because I don't know why, but we have a few good writers, but they're few and far between, and they usually don't get the support that they deserve. But
money plays into it. People try to make things that will sell instead of making something interesting. And
it's like Zappa talked about with how the format of A&R or label heads changed, after the 70s. All the cool guys got in and were like, no, that's not what the kids want to listen to. Whereas the old heads, old white guys who like, I don't know what this is, I'll just throw it out there and see if it takes off. And like, boom, you have Friday on My Mind, the Easy Beats. You have Liar Liar, the Castaways. You have all the Nuggets stuff. And that's just old white guys going like, I don't get this. Let's just see if it works. Not like a curated, like, well, what does the market demand? It's just like, no, just put some money behind it. And if they don't make money, like, cut them. It's done. Like, it should be the easiest concept, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that record labels can't make him any money anymore outside of live performances. So only people who can get a draw are the people they should they end up putting money behind. So
speaking of live performances, how are you going to perform this record? Are you gonna play like to tracks or?
I might do some of that. I will definitely have me on guitar and my bass player, and Tanner will probably fill in on drums too here and there. But I've just kind of resolved that I'll just play it whoever's got time to play it with me. I'll play it that way, or I'll do it by myself. I kind of need to get back out and just show face a little bit. But hopefully the album gets decent streaming, and I can, get a few more people into the fold, because I would love to have a synth player or somebody that man the samples, or do a lot more dynamic stuff. But yeah, I'm mostly just going to be doing it 3-piece.
That's what's up. I hope to get to see you, man. I've never actually seen you perform.
Yeah,
I've missed you the times you've come through Nashville, but I'll definitely make it a point to come out in October and November.
that's awesome, man. I'll look forward to seeing you. Maybe we can chat a little bit more about Uncle Ted off stream.
Yeah.
Maybe we can make improvements to the manifesto off stream.
Yeah, I agree with what he said. I just I think he could have done something different,
We can implement it in Minecraft.
Yeah. This is all in Minecraft, guys. This is all in Minecraft. Don't try this at home.
Yep. This is all in Fortnite.
Well, Yancey, it's a pleasure.
Kaczynski will be in Fortnite.
It's a new skin. New skin just dropped in Fortnite.
He's gonna mail boogie bombs to politicians.
That would be awesome. The Unabomber. He's just got his hood up and the sunglasses. Like the drawing of him is you could have like a masked and unmasked Ted.
Oh, very.
The Saint Ted skin.
Dude, like the golden tier is college Ted when he's getting like CIA mind controlled.
Exactly.
MK Ultra Ted.
Put Ted in Fortnite.
Oh my God, I would play Fortnite if that happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. Well, Yancey, dude, thanks. It's always a pleasure, man. Every time both times we've done this has been great.
Yeah, man, I enjoy this podcast because I feel like I can speak freely about stuff, and it's always interesting to talk to you and get your perspective. It was nice to meet you, Evan.
You too. Hey, can I ask you a real quick question before you go? Just one last one.
Yes.
You're very well read on history. I wanted to ask, do you have any authors or like books you'd recommend? Because I love history too.
Just Curtis Yarvin, Unqualified Reservations. It's a blog. I tried to buy a copy of the first volume and it's sold out. He's got another book coming out, but people consider him like a dissident right kind of guy, but really I don't think he is. He's really like a Silicon Valley liberal.
Would you want to do it for my book club? Is that something you'd be interested in doing?
Dude, that would be awesome if I could read through the book that he's writing, or maybe one of his articles. That would be great.
Whichever one you want to do, send me the name of it and we'll get around to it.
Yeah, that would be awesome because there's a lot of stuff in there that I think you'll enjoy.
Yeah, I'm down to read pretty much anything.
George C. Fisher, True History of the American Revolution. I think that's the title of it, but it came out in 1901, and it goes through just like the actual history of the American Revolution, about how divided the colonies actually were on fighting a revolution against the monarch.
Sure.
Against England, and like all of the piracy that the colonies did before they ended up fighting with the English, and like 100 years of just England not enforcing the laws, and then like kind of getting pissy when they wanted them to fight a war for them against the French. So it's like very interesting because history is not like cut and dry, like here are the good guys, here are the bad guys. It's just like here, like basically it's all failed like reconciliation between two groups, and it's just an interesting book, and I'm trying to make my way through it, but I need to get around to reading Machiavelli because I feel like that's a lot of where politics.
I got
the Prince.
I got the Prince right here. Yeah.
Heck yeah, you got a nice copy. I picked mine up for $1 at the thrift store, so that's much nice. But yeah, no, dude, let's do the Yarvin art like blog post or yeah, that'd be
Make
awesome.
sure to send me the name of it because I will forget, but we'll definitely get around to it.
Yeah, I need to reread some of them and see what you would what might tickle your fancy. I feel like he's great at like articulating the dynamics of power without even getting like into left or right bullshit. He's just kind of like, and it would be very helpful for people who are trying to just maybe disengage from whatever system this monstrosity is.
Yeah. It is crazy that people still play the left right game as if there's any difference and it's not just money controlling everything.
Yeah. I think it goes a little bit beyond some of the money stuff, but yeah, people definitely don't have an interest in like the pragmatic side of politics. It's ridiculous.
It's a religion. It's a religion. I am a Democrat. I am a Republican.
It's worse than religion. It's just sports. It's worse than religion. Because at least with religion, it would compel you to do something about it.
Yeah.
You know, like it would compel you to like, I don't know, engage with your freaking family. But no, like you vote for this team, I vote for that team. We just don't talk. It's the worst.
The reason I'm calling it a religion is because it has a god, which is the government.
Yeah.
It's worship.
Democracy. Democracy is the god that failed.
Again, everyone worships something. So
exactly. Well, that's why I can talk to you, because you understand these fundamental concepts. So
I think about it all the time. So it's nice to be able to talk to other people about it. So
yeah, definitely.
Well, Alice, check out Killer Kauboi. I'll put a link up. If it's not out now, do the pre-save. That really helps people out. And if it is out now, go stream it. Yancey, thanks again, dude.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Evan.
Good talking to you, bud.
See you guys.
See ya.